Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. What a great episode. But before I get into my review, if you're new to this channel, hello and welcome. I summarize and review the latest by Yanlış and Sabotage couple my episodes, say what I liked, what I didn't like, what I think might happen next, what I noticed. If you like these kinds of videos, like, comment, share, but most importantly subscribe so we can meet on a weekly basis. As always, before I get into the Ezgi and Özgür storyline, let's talk a little bit about the others. First we have Deniz and Ozan. Their storyline didn't really evolve that much, so the only thing that happened in this episode with them is that Deniz finally has her own office. I think she bought a whole house and there she will have her office. It's kind of rustic, it's kind of old looking. Cansu is really not sold on this house. She doesn't really like the new office. Ezgi is trying to be positive, trying to not make Deniz even more worried. Then we also have this scene where Ozan created a new dessert and gives it to Deniz to try and come up with a name. So she has to tell him what she feels, what she sees when she's tasting that new dessert. And I thought he was really adorable because he looked so proud when he presented it to her, and then he tells her that he actually already has a name for it and it's called Kilimanjaro and it will be their special dessert. So they were really adorable together. Then we have Levent and Cansu. Cansu going with Ezgi, Deniz and Zaynab to go look for a wedding dress. I have to say I wasn't really sold on it. I didn't really like it at first. Maybe it's because she had a ponytail and not her hair like wavy down like she had it at the wedding. Maybe that was the reason why I didn't like it at first. It kind of grew on me, I think, because in the end I kind of liked it. But the fact that Levent actually barged in, saw her in her wedding dress, I was like, will she choose a different one, or will this bad luck, like the groom seeing the bride before the wedding in her wedding dress, will this happen in the near future? And it actually happened. But before that they had an amazing girls time looking at dresses, trying on dresses. I really liked Ezgi's dress. Deniz's dress, I don't know, it kind of reminded me of the one that she had at Özgür's sister's wedding. I don't know, maybe it's the color that reminded me or the sleek looking style, I don't know. But anyways, I preferred Ezgi's one and I thought it was really adorable that they incorporated Zaynab as well and let her try dresses on. Anyways, after Levent comes, they all go, like him, Cansu and Zaynab, go to the hospital because he needs to pick something up. Cansu needs to send some invitations away. A girl sitting there sees Zaynab, sits next to her, and I was like, this is not a great idea. So that girl kind of tells Zaynab what happened to her and all those things that happened to that girl, Zaynab is afraid of happening to her as well. So that girl saying that her father remarried and her stepmother is pregnant and she's not really excited for her sibling because it will mean that they will focus more on the sibling and she will be sent to boarding school or something like that. And I've kind of felt bad for Zaynab because at the wedding she's still pondering, still very lost in thought, and I was like, okay, she will either say no if the person officiating the marriage asking if anybody has something to say, maybe she will say I don't want this, or she will disappear. And what happened? She disappeared. She left a note for Levent and said that she will move out of the city and she wishes them well without her, blah blah blah. And what I thought was really nice, like the whole gang looking for Zaynab, so you could really see their relationship towards each other, them caring for each other, for each other's families. Oh, before the wedding, which I completely forgot, was the bachelor and bachelorette party. I mean, come on, like Ezgi really tried to plan a nice cute bachelorette party for Cansu, them having fun. Emre on the other hand planned a bachelor party for Levent at La Laguna, which is the new restaurant. Özgür was not really feeling it, still being worried with everything that happened. Emre dancing with Levent and Ozan, and I was like, we want Özgür to dance as well. We want to see his moves as well, because Levent and his moves and Emre as well, and then Ozan being like this, it was hilarious. And then telling Levent that Ezgi planned a surprise party for Cansu and Levent not really liking it, and then Emre coming up with the idea that maybe there are male dancers there, like exotic dances. So they all go to Özgür's place, they hear the music, it's actually just the three of them dancing, having fun. The guys crashing their party, seeing that they're alone, not really believing it, and the girls being really like, why did you come, why did you crash our party, didn't you trust us, blah blah blah. So they get really frustrated. Then the guys are kind of reaching for answers, not really being able to have a really good answer for why they crashed the bachelorette party. After that, the girls are kind of not really in the mood anymore because they feel bad for them getting angry at the guys. But in the meantime, Emre actually changed the order of the exotic female dances. So Haydar appears with the dancers there, and then them asking who's the groom, and everybody pointing at Levent, and then Özgür and Ozan just moving slightly to the side, just observing, not really getting into the action. Then Haydar and Emre having the time of their lives. Levent trying to get away from the dancer. The girls coming, seeing the dancers, crashing the party, getting really angry, sending the dancer away. And I laughed so much because they're like, we didn't do anything, like Ozan and Özgür. Levent is like, well, she attacked me, I didn't do anything, blah blah blah. And them getting really angry at the guys. Emre and Haydar trying to get away as quick as possible, and then Levent trying to find an explanation why this happened the way it happened, and then them all dancing together. It was so adorable and I really liked the song, but I had to laugh because if you look closely, Ozan and Deniz were barely moving, barely swinging back and forth. I had to laugh so much. And then Özgür kind of again confessing his feelings, like in last episode when they were dancing, that he's so happy to have Ezgi in his life and that he loves her, I believe. But it was so adorable. Anyways, is there anything else with the Cansu and Levent storyline? I don't think so. Then we have Yeşim and Serdar, and let me tell you, I asked last episode where Yeşim was, but I saw her way too soon in this episode, and I was like, no, I don't need you. I'm really sorry that I asked for you last episode. I don't want to see your face. So the evil siblings once again have evil plans. I think I will mix it up with Ezgi and Özgür's storyline because it makes way more sense. So let's get to Ezgi and Özgür's storyline first. Ezgi gets taken away. Özgür doesn't want to leave her side, goes with her as well. The whole gang actually goes to the police station to see what really happens to Ezgi, what are the charges, blah blah blah. Dennis finds out that it's actually Tolga, like Tolga's charges. So Özgür is really angry, goes to Lagabia, searches for Tolga. He wasn't actually there. Gizem is really confused why Özgür is so angry. Then we see Yeşim and Serdar, them having a conversation. Like, it was so, I don't know if things got lost in translation, I don't know if I didn't understand it clearly, but apparently Serdar hid the folder with all the evidence against Ezgi, so he has it now. Tolga doesn't have it anymore because later when Özgür confronts Tolga with this, Tolga says he didn't do it, he has nothing to do with it, and Özgür kind of believes him because he sees, okay, he's really telling the truth. And even Tolga saying that he doesn't even know where the folder with the evidence is. So Serdar is the brain behind everything. So I do think that in the beginning we thought that Tolga was the mastermind behind every evil thing, but it turns out that the evil siblings are the king and queen of evilness, just plotting things against Özgür and Ezgi, and him desperately trying to get to Ezgi. Back to their conversation in the car. Serdar kind of being angry at Tolga that he let Ezgi off the hook that quickly just because he got Lagabia, so he got really frustrated by this move. And then him also saying that the only person that could spoil their plan is İrem, so they kind of need to get rid of her. Also telling Yeşim that he has recording from Tolga, I believe, of İrem messing with Ezgi's computer. So at the police station, Özgür is desperately trying to also get into prison and not leave Ezgi alone because she needs him by her side, blah blah blah, but the police officer doesn't let him. So he's like, well, do you see the charges? I'm Özgür Atasoy, so I was the one who told Ezgi to do all of that. Everybody else was like, what are you doing? Why why are you doing this? And then his explanation why he wants to go to prison, because he's really fast and he can destroy all the evidence and the officers should go after him, because if not he will do something bad, or I don't know. It was hilarious. And then he actually gets in. When Ezgi sees Özgür, she's like, oh, you're getting me out, and he's like, no, I'm not getting you out, I'm actually getting in. It was amazing. Really funny to see their conversation there in the cell. Then we have Nevin looking for Una's ID, calling Ezgi obviously not picking up, calling Cansu is really bad at lying, finding an excuse where Ezgi is, so she tells Nevin to call Deniz really frustrated with Cansu, like, why did you tell her to call me? While this all is happening, Emre is messing with the picture at the police station. Levent signing to him, just put it back, what are you doing, blah blah blah. It was hilarious. Anyways, Nevin is calling Deniz is really close to getting rid of Nevin, but Levent comes with tea and he's like, well, the police treated us with tea. And then Cansu also talks about police and police officers. Nevin gets really desperate, what is happening, where are you, blah blah blah, because Cansu is also saying Ezgi or something like that. And that's when Deniz tells Nevin the whole truth. So Nevin then calls Sevin, because Sevin actually called Özgür because it took her longer to get home, and she's like, well, I will call him so he knows I'm home. But Özgür hangs up the call. Nevin talking to Sevin, telling her that Özgür and Ezgi are actually in prison, and Nevin being really concerned about Ezgi. Sevin being concerned about Özgür, what he will eat because his muscles will dry out. Nevin calling Özgür a thug. Sevin calling Ezgi a cockroach. I mean, what is happening? After that conversation, Fitnat comes. She's all over the place. She's so not like we know her. She's crying. It turns out her husband actually cheated on her with his secretary, and she caught them together in bed. So now she wants to divorce him, but it should be a painful divorce. So she talks to Ezgi a little bit in the future that she needs a female lawyer who will fight for her rights and make it as painful as possible for her now ex-husband. So Ezgi goes with Fitnat to Deniz. So as soon as Fitnat and Sevin find out that Özgür is in prison because of Tolga, they go to Istanbul because Fitnat wants to be as far away as possible from her still husband. They confront Tolga. In the meantime, Tolga gets really angry with Gizem because it's her fault why he didn't know what is Özgür going to do, because after they get out of prison, they go to Lagabia. That's when they confront Tolga, and he says that it wasn't him. At first, Ezgi is trying to get Özgür off of Tolga, saying that she will deal with him. Özgür is like, okay. Then Ezgi going nuts on Tolga. Ozan having a really hard time keeping Ezgi away from Tolga. Özgür just chilling next to them, just looking, being quite surprised and amazed by Ezgi's reaction. Anyways, after that, Tolga, as I said, gets angry with Gizem why she's not working with Özgür anymore, because that way he would have known Özgür's next move. So their plan is now to get Gizem back to work with Özgür. Because Fitnat and Sevim are there confronting Tolga about this incident, Gizem takes the opportunity and gets really angry with Tolga, being like, what did you do to Özgür and Ezgi? They're such good people, blah blah blah, I will quit, blah blah blah. So Sevim and Fitnat see that, feel really bad for Gizem, so they take her to Özgür and tell him that she will need a second chance, blah blah blah. She apologizes. Emre, like Pablo, is not having it. He's calling a bluff. He doesn't believe her. But Özgür, the great heart he is, he gives her a second chance, but not as a manager or whatever she was, but as a waitress. Oh, what I thought was really hilarious was when Deniz got Özgür and Ezgi out of prison, and then when the police officer was opening Ezgi's door, Özgür was by Deniz and telling her, prison changes you, nothing will be the same. And I was like, dude, you only spent a couple of hours there, so what changed? Oh, while Özgür, Ozan and Ezgi were confronting Tolga, in the meantime Yeşim and Serdar actually came. They saw everything, got quite scared, hid. In the meantime, Yeşim called İrem, being like, listen, something happened, Tolga blamed everything on you, blah blah blah, I won't let anything happen to you. And I was like, Of course, you're the brain behind it, so shut up. While Yeşim is talking to İrem, Serdar is planting a seed in Tolga's mind that İrem did it because İrem also framed Serdar so she could do it with Tolga as well, blah blah blah. So Tolga is like, okay, we have to get rid of İrem. And that's when Serdar is like, give me the footage of İrem, I will give it to the prosecutor anonymously. And Tolga is really doing it, but I think Serdar copied it or something. Maybe he really did give it to the prosecutor, but I think he still has a copy of that footage because he needs something to blackmail everybody else. Then we see Yeşim meeting up with İrem, telling her to go to America because she's in big trouble, blah blah blah. İrem being really desperate, why would Tolga do something like that? After that we see Özgür trying to reach İrem, but her phone is off. So he has an idea to go talk to that security guy who has the footage to see what is on there. So Ozan and Özgür go there, confront that security guy. He says that İrem got there and asked for the footage to be deleted, blah blah blah, but it was actually Serdar and Tolga, as we already know, but now they're all blaming it on İrem. Then we have Serdar appearing at La Laguna. Özgür not really happy about it. Serdar apologizing for everything that he did, and it was İrem because she also framed him, and he went to the prosecutor and made a statement and they dropped the charges against Ezgi, blah blah blah. He's really sorry for everything that happened, and he has the footage of İrem messing up with Ezgi's laptop, and then he sent it to Özgür so he can have the proof, and he's apologizing like he's starting the foundation of being kind of the hero, being pro Ezgi and Özgür, changing Ezgi's perception about him being a good guy instead of a bad guy like she had before. I was like, oh my god, Ezgi, please don't be so stupid. And then we have Yeşim and Serdar once again having lunch or something, and Yeşim being surprised how Serdar managed it for Ezgi to believe him, and he's like, well, the hero will save the main girl and Ezgi will finally understand that he's the real prince. And I was like, oh my god, like in what world are you living, seriously? So Serdar's next plan is to sabotage La Laguna, which he's actually doing. So at first he's messing with the heating, so at first it's really hot. It was kind of confusing because everybody was being like, oh my god, it's so hot, but Özgür being the only chill one, not really being affected by the heat. Then it gets really cold. After that, like the next morning, there's no electricity, and then after that there are cockroaches. I mean, seriously, I felt really bad for Özgür. Then we also see Özgür talking to Ozan that it's kind of weird with this new restaurant because before that it was kind of a good idea to open a new restaurant next to Lagavia, but now that Lagavia is gone, there's something missing, and before that all the energy went to Lagavia, and Ezgi is listening to it. Ozan is asking him, well, shouldn't we have fought more for Lagavia? And he's like, no, I didn't want to see Ezgi anymore upset. So I felt kind of sad for Ezgi because she's blaming herself for Özgür not having Lagavia anymore. And then their hug, it was kind of from Ezgi's side, I'm sorry that you had to do it, and Özgür kind of feeling comforted by Ezgi because he's so worried about his new restaurant. Then we also have, I don't remember when it was, but when Özgür was like, well, I prepare a surprise for Ezgi, and he didn't say what. Ozan tells it Deniz. Deniz tells it Ezgi, and it's like, well, a surprise. Ezgi gets really excited. So Deniz is the one giving Ezgi the misinformation, as we will find out later, because when Ezgi gets really excited, she sees Özgür and Ozan talking about a ring because Özgür takes one off and Ozan is looking at it. So Ezgi is like, oh my god, he's really going to propose, because after that Ezgi and Özgür are on the terrace, like Ezgi waiting for him. She gets really excited, she gets really hyped up. Özgür comes with the blanket, says, I love you, thank you so much for being in my life, kind of confessing his feelings. So I was like, oh my god, is he really proposing? Then she sees a little box next to the pool. She's like, oh my god, is this the ring box? But then it slips, so it gets into the pool. She panics because of the ring being in the pool. He's like, why are you panicking? I'm just buying a new one. She's like, no, why do you have to buy a new one? Because it's so expensive, blah blah blah. And he's like, no, are you ready? And opens it up, and it turns out to be AirPods. And I was like, oh my god, I love laughed so much. I felt kind of bad for Ezgi because she got her hopes up so much that it destroyed her to see not a ring but AirPods in front of her, and then him being like, well, I can buy a new one, they're really durable, they can be in the water, you can throw them up, blah blah blah. So he didn't really understand why she reacted that way, but I had to laugh so much. Then we see Serdar and Tolga talking, Tolga mentioning a Mrs. Wrong because Özgür is Mr. Wrong. So there was a Mrs. Wrong for Özgür like 6 or 7 years ago. Serdar's antennas were like beep beep beep. Oh my god, I have to find this woman. So he kind of gets all the information from Tolga because Tolga says, well, he fell in love with her, they had a long distance relationship, blah blah blah. Serdar hired a private detective or something like that because that woman was in South America, but now it turns out that she's in Izmir according to the private detective. So I think that that woman will appear next episode or the episode after that. Then we see Ezgi and Özgür still being on the terrace talking with each other. Ezgi trying to get the surprise out of him, being like, well, surprises are something good, and he's like, no, I don't want any more surprises in my life. And she gets kind of frustrated, and then Tesla comes and Özgür starting to talk about Tesla being in love with a pigeon, and they wrote letters, and I was like, oh my god, what are you talking about? But the way it was shot, like mainly seeing Özgür and Tesla in the frame, I was like, okay, Ezgi is either not listening to him or she fell asleep. And what happened? She fell asleep. So the next day when Ezgi arrives at the restaurant, Özgür wants to show her her surprise. So he's like, close your eyes, to go to the elevator. He gets really excited, then shows her the surprise. So she's like, oh my god, he's really going to propose. And then what is it? A new office, because he really wants her to work for him, but she told the girl she's not going to work for him because of what her mother said. So he got really upset when she told him, it's a really nice surprise, but I'm not going to work with you. And then he's like, well, I need you, you're my lucky charm, I need you to be close to me because you bring me luck, blah blah blah. I kind of felt bad for him, but then at the same time I kind of felt bad for Ezgi for being so hyped up about this possible proposal. Like, this office surprise was such a far cry from her wish surprise, so a proposal. Anyways, after that, the bachelor and bachelorette party happened, the wedding happens, and then while everybody is looking for Zaynab, we actually have Ezgi sending everybody away and Serdar coming, and I was like, what are you doing here? So he's like, well, can we talk a little bit? Ezgi's like, no, it's a bad timing. And he's like, well, I want to do something good one last time. You can give Lagabia back to Özgür just by using this recording, because I recorded Tolga telling everything to Irem how she should do it, blah blah blah. You can go to Tolga, blackmail him, or even go to the police with it. And Ezgi's like, I can't do this, I can't blackmail people, I can't do this without Özgür. And he's like, no, just keep it a secret from Özgür. And I was like, god, just don't start with this, because last episode I think we agreed that there are no secrets between Ezgi and Özgür, so why the hell should they start with secrets right now? But because Serdar is the way he is, of course he wants it to be a secret from Özgür. God, please Ezgi, don't be so stupid. And then Özgür comes, sees Serdar, while Serdar gives the recorder to Ezgi. Ezgi sees Özgür, hides it, puts it in her bag, and I was like, oh my god, Ezgi, no, don't do this, don't keep this a secret from Özgür, because it will end badly. And then we only have Özgür looking at Serdar, and I was like, god, are you kidding me? Is this the end? And that's the end. So thank god we got a trailer. All we could see in this one is Özgür being kind of a mountain man, loving the nature, kind of having this Can David vibe, going off-roading, going on a camping trip with Ozan and Deniz, so kind of a double camping trip. Then Özgür's car getting stuck. Oh my god. Oh, one major thing that I saw in that trailer was Cansu giving the rings back to Levent. Him being really shocked. So I don't know if he did something bad, if he blamed Cansu for Zeynep's disappearance. Maybe they found Zaynab and she's like, I can't do this marriage thing. I don't know, it's really hard because I was really happy for them, but then this whole him seeing her in a wedding dress, maybe that's the bad luck. I don't know, it's really confusing, and I really felt bad for them because I was so rooting for them. And now that Zaynab finally accepted Jansu, so it's really confusing why she gave him the rings. Maybe she's like, okay, I don't want to keep you away from your daughter, so I will just take a step back, be with your daughter, and that's it. Maybe that will be a reason for her. I don't know, it's really hard to tell. I don't have anything else to say because all the things I think that might happen I already said. I don't know, I have a feeling that because Serdar is now turning against Tolga as well, maybe after some time Tolga will see the true colors of Serdar and Yeşim. Maybe sometime in the really far future Tolga will work with Özgür against Serdar and Yeşim, and it will be really interesting to see that. Like, how can Tolga wash his image clean? I don't know what else to say, it's really hard. I hope I didn't forget anything. If I did, I'm really sorry. But if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on this amazing episode. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Ring that bell to be notified whenever I post something, and I will see you next time. Bye!